Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? Looks like we're going to talk about something interesting and the EVs that are on the road, as well as renewable energy, is actually making a very big impact in the world. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel. It's good to have you here. We welcome everybody to Free Power. And looks like renewable energy and EVs are actually making a big impact in the world. The global energy demand spiked in 2024, driven largely by surging electricity use, according to a new report released today by the International Energy Agency, or IEA. Electricity consumption jumped by nearly 1,100 terawatt hours, a hefty 4.3% increase, nearly twice the annual average growth of the past decade. This dramatic rise was largely fueled by the electrification of transportation, record-breaking global temperatures that ramped up cooling needs, coupled with increased industrial activity and growing energy demands from data centers and AI applications. Renewables were the real stars in meeting this rising energy need, according to the IEA's latest edition of the Global Energy Review. The world installed roughly 700 gigawatts of new renewable power capacity last year, making the 22nd consecutive record setting year. Renewables, together with nuclear power, which saw its fifth highest growth in 3 decades, accounted for a massive 80% of the global electricity supply increase. Together, renewables and nuclear reached a milestone covering 40% of total global electricity generation for the first time. The IEA executive director highlighted the key takeaways. What is certain is that electricity use is growing rapidly, pulling overall energy demand along with it to such an extent that it is enough to reserve years of declining energy consumption in advanced economies. He also emphasized the positive shift, the strong expansion of solar, wind, nuclear power, and EVs is increasingly loosening the links between economic growth and emissions. Among fossil fuels, natural gas saw the largest increase, up to 115 billion cubic meters, or 2.7%, driven primarily by rising electricity demand, compared with an average of around 75 billion cubic meters annually over the past decade. EV sales surged by over 25% in 2024, now making up 1 in every 5 cars sold globally. And this had a notable impact on oil demand, which grew modestly at just 0.8%. Oil notably fell below 30% of total energy demand for the first time ever, 50 years after it peaked at 46%. Coal, despite increase by 1%, slowed its growth significantly compared to previous years, with intense heat wave in China and India accounting for over 90% of this rise. Meanwhile, emission data painted an encouraging picture. CO2 emissions in advanced economies fell by 1.1% to 10.9 billion tons in 2024, a level not seen in 50 years. Even as their economies have tripled in size, record temperatures contribute significantly to the annual 0.8% rise in global CO2 emissions to 37.8 billion tons. But the rapid adoption of clean energy technology since 2019 is now preventing 2.6 billion tons of CO2 annually, the equivalent of 7% of global emissions. Dr. Byloy summed it up. From slowing global oil demand growth and rising deployment of electric cars to the rapidly expanding role of electricity and the increased decoupling of emissions from economic growth, many of the key trends in IEA has identified ahead of the curve are showing up clearly in the data for 2024. So that is very interesting. I can't wait to see what the emissions is going to be in 2025. There's several things to take note here, specifically the drop of the oil demand, which is down basically 30%. So that's good. And also the CO2 emissions is now preventing 2.6 billion tons of CO2 annually. And no doubt that number is going to increase in 2025. So we know that there's a long way to go. So many things that's going on in the world. The temperature of the earth is still pretty high. If the world continues on this trend, get the world temperature to drop 1%, which will pretty much put us back around 1960, 70 CO2. But anyway, let me get your thoughts on it. Let me hear what you got to say. I mean, some really good news there. I truly love what's going on. And just imagine how much faster that would drop if Aptera was on the road, because you wouldn't have to plug in as much. But of course, solar power is helping with the charging stations as well. But once again, let me get your thoughts on it. Let me hear what you got to say. But anyway, overall, some really good news, and hopefully things are going to start getting better. So we're going to end it here. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Give a shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys very much. I truly appreciate all that you do. But y'all take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. You have a good one. And if you're new here, hit the like, ring the bell, subscribe. You catch all my videos when they come out. Okay, you guys take care. Bye-bye.